Hi, everyone. It's Wendi with SVP. Not Mickey. Sorry, it said Mickey, but it had my face. It's Wendi. So today, welcome Friday. Hope you're keeping cool. And I want to welcome you to the first My SoNet. So what's happening live? I don't know how many we're going to do this year, but just keep an eye out for them. So today I want to take some time and we're going to talk about buttonholes in the hoop. Earlier today, I did some demonstrations on how to do buttonholes in the hoop with the Husqvarna Viking Epic 3 and the FOF Icon 2, Creative Icon 2. And for those of you who do not have the function of design, shaping, design, create, those names, sorry, I don't know why they're escaping my mind today. If you don't have those features on your sewing machine, you can still do that in the software, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And all you need to have is just the silver level. So if you have silver, platinum, or gold, silver, gold, platinum, all of them will have the buttonholes from the super designs that you can utilize to do your buttonholes in the hoop. So let me take you over to the software. And here we go. So I already opened my software and I'm just going to start with a blank canvas. And you can see that I already have, I was doing something with the Epic 3 earlier today. I am going to change this and let's just go ahead and choose universal. How's that? Universal. And I will select, because I want the longest space possible, I am going to go with the 360 by 260 hoop. I am going to keep it, I am going to rotate it, and I'll explain why I'm rotating it. By the way, if you want it to be very specific, you can enter in your own hoop size. But today I know that I'm going to be using a 360 by 260 hoop, so we'll just use the universal one. And we'll say okay. And now the hoop is sitting on the horizontal plane instead of the vertical plane. And you'll understand why in a moment when I go, when I do what I'm going to do. So if I go to my super designs up here at the top, when I drop down, the first thing we'll see is animals. Not everyone may not see animals. It depends on what you were doing last in the super designs. But over here underneath category, I can go straight to the buttonholes. And here are my buttonhole choices. I also have a drop down here. So there are actually 4 different categories of buttonholes that you can choose from. Now, these are a lot more decorative than the buttonholes that are built into your machine. So we have the option here that we can have a decorative buttonhole. We also have the option that we can edit this buttonhole right here in the software. And if you truly don't want all the decorative elements to it, you can change that. But I'm going to choose this buttonhole right here because that's the one that resonated to me today. This one's really cute too, but this one resonates with me. So I will choose that one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change my mind. This one looks kind of cool to me. All right. Over here, we have our size. And the size button that I have today is a 25 millimeter button. And how do I know the size? Because on my packaging, it says it's 25 millimeters. I'm going to come back to me for just a sec. And it doesn't want to come back to me. So that's okay. Just hear me out. So my button is, like magic. So here's my button. It is 25 millimeters. And I know it's 25 millimeters because the package that I got it from stated is 25 millimeters. So that is the button size itself. When we do our buttonholes, we also have to take into account that the button needs to slide through that buttonhole. So see, this buttonhole is a little bit larger. This one right here, I did right at 25 millimeters, and you can see it is not going through very comfortably. So we need to adjust that. So in the software, and I'm going to go back to the software. Meredith, can you put me back on the software? Thank you. So back in the software, up here at the top where we have size, I'm going to change that to 30 millimeters. and then we'll click apply. And here it brings in a buttonhole. Next thing we're going to do, and that's the size that I want it. Next thing we'll do is we're going to come over to Encore. Encore is going to bring in multiples of the same thing, but it is going to evenly space it. Over here, we have an option. We could do it for a circle. We could do it for a particular shape. We have the hoop, and then we also have our lines. We have either straight or curvy lines. I am going to go with the straight line, because I'm thinking placket today. So I'm going to choose that one. We want a straight line, but just know you do have other options in here too, something that you can go in and play with. You can turn these buttonholes onto a different shape or a different line and use them decoratively opposed to utilitarian wise. And today I'm thinking utilitarian. So we got a straight line. I know I want 6 repeats, so I can put in as many repeats as I want. Let's go with 5. We'll do 5 today. So if I want 5 repeats, I'll just type in 5. And if I click on preview, it brings them all right next to each other. So I'm going to zoom into this. Oops, down at the bottom. And you can see right here, I have this little box. If I pull on that box, this separates them. And you can see that they are all still very evenly spaced. And I'm taking this all the way to the perimeters of that hoop. And what you're looking at in the hoop is just the embroiderable area. That blue line that goes all the way around the hoop, that is the embroiderable area. So you don't have to worry that by the time you get this to the machine, you don't have to worry about making adjustments. There is a question there. Can we use Premiere Plus 2? Yes, you sure can. These features go all the way back to, oh goodness, we're talking like 3D, 4D. Actually, Meredith, can you put it on my face? Actually, I remember doing buttonholes in the hoop before we had the capability of doing them physically on the machine. I don't know if you guys remember, like all the way back to the Designer one and the 7570 and those. We always had software at the time for those machines. And I remember back in the day, I would always come in here into the software, whatever software was available at the time, because I did stay current with all the software. So I go all the way back to System 5, if you can remember how far back that is. So that's before 3D even came out. But anyway, this is how I would do my buttonholes in the hoop in the past before we had that feature built into the sewing machine. So yes, you can do this in Premiere Plus 2 and older softwares. Okay, so back to the software. Meredith, thank you. So here are our buttonholes. And the reason why we had to I rotated the hoop is because I needed them to be evenly spaced. And then I can rotate it. If I were to do this with the hoop going on the vertical plane, when I spaced it, I would be spacing it horizontally, but my hoop would have been vertical, and then therefore I would have had to resize the design, and I didn't want to do that. And I can show you that in a moment, what I mean by that. So right here, this is what I need. And if this is what I'm happy with, then I will go up here onto the ribbon and click apply. Okay, I will go home. And because I'm happy with everything that I have, I'm going to click on combine, and we're going to combine all. And you know what? I'm going to color sort it because I just want these all to just stitch out at the same time. I don't want the machine to stop between every single color change. So I will go with color sort. So here, if you look at this, it's showing you that it's going to stitch the decorative element first, and then it will stitch the buttonhole first. So it will stitch all of the decorative elements and then go in and do the buttonhole. You do want to keep it in that order for this particular buttonhole as I'm looking at it, because that buttonhole is going to sit above the decorative elements. If you did them in the reverse, there might be some jaggeding or something happening with the decorative elements. So I would keep it that way. Okay. And if you are a person that needs to see this visually, if you need to see it on the vertical plane, then I will just go back into change hoop. So I can change my hoop here, or I could go all the way up here to the upper left. Either one, they will take you to the same place. And let's put it at natural and say, okay. And then if I need to see how it looks, then I will just rotate it 45 degrees. Okay, so that's if you want your buttonholes to be horizontal. So let's do another one. Let's go, and I'm going to go ahead and click off of this one. Actually, I'm going to move this guy out of the way so we can see them. So let's say we don't want that decorative element. We just want a plain buttonhole for a placket. We don't want anything fancy, anything like that. So I'm going to go back into my super designs, and let's go ahead and choose the same buttonhole. Why not? We'll select that buttonhole. And again, just for demonstration's sake, we'll change this to 30 millimeters and click apply. So if I wanted this buttonhole to be vertical, I would need to make the buttonhole go horizontal. You'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to rotate that, and I probably could have just gone home and rotated it a lot easier than doing that. Let's do that. Okay, so we'll rotate. Yeah, I'm just going to rotate it. And what if I don't want those decorative elements? That's easy too. I'm going to click apply so we can set this. Oops, I got an extra one. Sorry, an extra one. And so now we have this buttonhole. I can easily go into modify. Yes, I want to fix these stitches because modify is a stitch editing portion. So it needs to be in stitches in order to edit it. So I'm going to say, okay, let's set it because I did set the size I needed. And if I go over into here and I uncheck the orange, which is the buttonhole, if I uncheck that, I'm going to zoom in. Okay, so there's the decorative elements. I uncheck the orange, which is the buttonhole itself, so it's kind of hidden. And then if I go to box select, I can just select those, super easy, and then touch delete. And now I'm left with only the buttonhole itself. And let's zoom out for a moment here. And if I go into Encore, I still have it set for a line. I still have it set for 5. And let's do a preview. And this is what I'm talking about if you wanted them to fill the hoop, it's better to look at it horizontally than vertically because I only have this option because it's a straight line to pull in one direction. And you can see that is not, the width obviously isn't as wide as tall as the hoop is. So here we have this. So we'll go ahead and say apply to that. And if we go into home and if we rotate this 45 degrees, do you see how it's not fitting? And if I were to just stretch this or resize it, those buttonholes aren't going to be the size that we need. So to get them the size that we need, I would start over and go to my hoop. I'm going to put this back on rotated and say, okay. And back into super design. So you're getting a little practice here. We'll stick with this guy right here. And we'll say, it still remembers that I did 30. And we'll click apply. Now we'll rotate it. Not perfect, but we're good. Okay. It's so much easier if I use the buttons. Okay, this will work. And then we'll say apply. Oh, I see why it keeps giving me 2. Don't want that. Okay. My OCD is kicking in. I need to have that perfect. All righty. Close enough. So if I go to Encore then, well, let's go ahead and get rid of the decorative element again. It's not going to hurt us. So we go into modify. Yes, we want it as stitches. We uncheck the orange, box select, and delete. We're left with just the buttonhole. We go back home. There's our buttonhole. Now into Encore. It remembers that we did a line. It remembers that we did 5 repeats. So let's preview this. And now we can stretch this out. Evenly spaced. Buttonhole shapes are still intact. And then we're good to go. If I go up to my hoop now and change my hoop back to natural, say okay. And now let's rotate it. So now we have our buttonholes going in the vertical direction opposed to the horizontal like they are over here. So we can go ahead and combine, and we don't want to say combine all because it knows that that row of buttonholes are on outside that hoop. It will take everything if we say combine all. So we want to go with combine selected, and then we can color sort those. And now we're good to go. So you have two different ways, or one way options that you can go ahead and create buttonholes in the hoop. Do we have any questions out there? Any questions? Alrighty. So I do want to remind you that Sonny is doing a My SewNet camp on July 16th, 17th, and 18th, all about digitizing logos. We all enjoy Sonny's software camps, and I hope you will join her. So if there are no other questions, I will let you have your day back, and I thank you for joining me. Have a good weekend.